Hall of Fame broadcaster Marty Brenneman here, and he's the best storyteller in the game, and it's time to sit back, relax, and have some laughs. Welcome to the Mayor's Office, and here's your host, Sean Casey.
Boom, Chinchy. What's up, my man?
We got one of your boys on today who's a badass baseball player, one of the coolest guys. I'm sorry, I'm starting early because I was psyched about this, but you take it from here. Go ahead.
All right. I'll take it from here. Listen, you know it's funny, Chinch, because we were talking about this before. Like, you know, your buddies are your buddies, and you kind of know them just as your buddies. You go, hey, maybe have a beer, get dinner on the road. You're playing together, so you never really research your buddies. But then when you get your own podcast years later, you're like, and you have your buddies on, you're like, all right, I do a little research, make sure these guys, you know, I make them feel good. I'm like, man, this guy's way cooler than I thought he was, and has had way more success. First off, he's got a new job with Nesson as a color analyst this year. So if you're a Red Sox fan, you should be fired up to be watching this guy. Drafted in the 8th round, we'll get to that later, by the Sox in 2001. I like to think, too, he was part of breaking two curses, 04 and 2016 with the Cubs. A little, you know, one as a player, but also one as a front office guy. Hit 281 in his career, 150 homers, 618 stakes, played for the Red Sox, the Yankees, and played 1 year in Japan, too, and half a year with the White Sox. Got the Hank Aaron Award in 2008, Gold Glove in 2007. Like I said, won 2 championships in 04 and 2007. Three-time All-Star 08, 09, 2011. And also, this guy was called the Greek god of walks. If you ever watch Moneyball, right? And now he's got a beer because he owns a brewery called the Greek god of hops, which is awesome. Let's bring in my man, Kevin Youkilis. Youk, what's up, dude?
Not much, pig. How you doing?
Oh, you're still a pig too, bro. You're still a pig too, which I love. Dude, first off, how's everything going, man? I know we were talking the other day, and you said you've been, you got this new job with Nesson as an analyst, and how's that going? Have you done some games yet already?
Yeah, it's going good. I did 5 spring training games. That was all the max. That's all I could handle in spring training. 5 games. So, but no, it's good. It's a lot of fun. I think what I didn't realize is how tired you get after you do it. I mean, you are so focused and locked in on every pitch and calling it and making sure you don't mess up on air. That, man, I'm exhausted after. It feels like you play a game. It's so weird.
That's true, dude. Well, you're so locked in because if you're not, then they say, OB will be like, hey, what'd you think of that swing right there, or that pitch? You're like, I wasn't paying attention. I was thinking about the new brew I'm going to have at Loma Brewery, here soon. I wasn't locked in. So it's mentally fatiguing, obviously not physically, but mentally fatiguing.
It definitely is. It's one of those things too, where you're talking and then all of a sudden a play happens real quick and you got to keep talking through some stuff, especially in spring training more than the regular season. But there's a lot of learning curve with it. And I'm just excited just to, be with Dave O'Brien. And I was with Mike Monaco, who's a young up and coming, broadcaster that's going to do a lot of great work. So it's enjoyable and a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're going to be good, Yuki. You're going to be great, dude. I'm excited for you and excited that you're going to be, the rep for Red Sox Nation listening to you. Dude, what do you think nowadays? Like, I look back at you and your career and, bro, I mean, one of the toughest dudes I've ever played with mentally, like as far as putting in a bat together. Like, you didn't waste a pitch. You didn't strike out a lot. And if you did punch out, that guy on the mound was in for a dogfight. I mean, it was impressive, man. It really was. What do you think about, nowadays with like the mentality of the hitters nowadays as far as the strikeouts go? Does it bother you?
Yeah, a little bit. I think it just bothers me just for the fact that, hey, I mean, you have to acknowledge, like, guys are throwing harder. Right. Everyone's chasing spin in different ways, right? They're chasing the spin at the top of the zone with the 4-seam. They're chasing spin on the breaking balls. They're chasing numbers. They're really trying to hit numbers and trying to go after numbers and set records on numbers. And it's not different to when we were playing or the time before us. Guys that threw harder always were the top guys, but it's also they also fail to talk about it's throwing hard, throwing hammers, hard breaking balls with location and intent. That hasn't changed. Jacob deGrom is still the number one pitcher in all of baseball because he can hit 100, but he can spot 100. And I think that's the difference now is, for me, it's when we played, the velo went up, right? And it's gone up a lot more now, but I just want guys to compete. I want guys to just be better. There's more in there. And if you think like that all the time and you have that mentality in life, no matter if you're playing baseball or you got a 9-to-5 job, you should always want to be better. And how do you get better? How do you put the ball in play more? Because when you get struck out, you have zero chance. There's no chance. Right. When you put the ball in play, there's a chance that you get a hit, but there's also a chance you get on base. These guys make a lot of good plays, but they also boot the ball a lot too.
Right. What about you, Youk? I mean, as far as your process at the plate, like what made you so good, bro? What made Kevin Youkilis such a tough out?
I just looked in the mirror every day and said, "Man, you are really good looking."
You'd have been out of the league in freaking a half a season if that was your mentality.
Hey, you gotta fake it till you make it. Just keep faking it. Yeah, so I just wake up every day and go, "Oh man, you are one hell of a good-looking dude. Just get in that box. You're intimidating. Your looks are intimidating. No pitcher wants to face you. Can't concentrate." So yeah, that was the first part of it. So
it was the sexiness. Your sexiness is what made you rake in the big leagues.
There's like Rico Suave in there, man. They're like, "Oh my god, I can't stop looking at him." And that's why I think they hit me a lot because they were just looking at me so much. They would just drill me. But in all seriousness, I think it's really just about understanding the opposition, understanding their strengths, understanding your strengths, understanding your weaknesses, and how they're going to pitch you. And so when you learn how pitchers are going to pitch you, that's step one. You got to learn how they're going to pitch you personally. Then two, you also got to understand that if they're throwing in this quadrant early in that count, and that's not my hot zone, it's okay to take a pitch. It's okay to get to 2 strikes. But if you're going to get to 2 strikes, you got to learn how to put the ball in play. You got to learn how to fight. You got to learn how to take that ball. That's a borderline pitch too. And you can't be scared of striking out. And I think that was my thing is I hated striking out, but I wasn't scared to strike out.
I like that. And when you were approaching Youk, were you looking to pull? Were you looking to go to right center? What was your approach? What was your intention when you were up there?
Yeah, so when I was younger, and I had a funkier, different stance in college, it would, spread out, Chuck Knobloch grip with the bat, with a Jeff Bagwell split stance. And I had the metal bat, and I would just, drive balls to right center. And then I didn't pull the ball a lot unless it was a breaking, like an off speed or a breaking ball. And so for me, everything was going the other way, And then once I got to pro ball, I was like, oh my God, what is this sinker? Like this sinker pitch that guys all have. I can't get to this ball. Like I'm going to break my foot. I just rolling over pitch. So I got taller. I got taller in my stance. I learned how I need to get my hands inside my body more. I need to make room in there. I was making room in the wrong way. So then I started not just thinking opposite field and right center. I started thinking up the middle, shortstop to second base, hitting bullets all over the field. In BP, the thing I always try to say was, hey, this is my job. Is that center fielder trying to work on some stuff? I'm going to make him run. I'm going to make him try to chase balls. And if I can drive the ball straight over his head, now I know I'm locked in. So for me, that was more my thing, staying in the middle field. And then eventually it got to be where I learned how to click balls inside. And I learned a lot from Manny. Manny was the one that you just watch him day in and day out and what he did. He didn't talk about it, but all you got to do, you had to just watch Manny. And if you watch what he did in his greatness and how he got that bat there, but not try to emulate and mimic his stance and swing, you try to mimic what he tries to do on an inside pitch into what you do. And that's what I did really well was, and I went down to AAA in 05, and I remember I clicked the ball inside, fastball, good fastball inside, and I just brought my hands inside, took that knob into tuck that knob into your pocket, and this ball goes down the left field line and it starts going back fair more, like 6 feet. And it was the most pure ball I've ever hit. And I go, wow, that's it. And so now I'm like, okay, I'm not scared to be in, get pitches inside. Cause if I can do that, I can get to balls. I can hit a homer that way. I can hit a line drive that way. But now I got this outer half of the plate where they're going to try to get me out on a lot. And I'm going to try to stay up the middle as much as possible. And then just utilize that click inside to go to left with it.
So it was almost like look to go up the middle I can still work the other way because I got that in my pocket. But you started learning how to react in, but keep the ball fair, not just hook it. Yeah.
So you know, getting away from just top spinning balls,
right?
Going around it, getting beat. And don't trust me, I got beat inside. You know, when you're late,
right?
Everyone does, right? But when you're going good, you're not hooking those balls. You're not hooking them in BP. That's what I learned too. Is that's a bad BP. When you're getting in there and you're hooking balls, you're top spinning the ball to left field. You just got to all of a sudden, whoa, jump out the cage and go, oh, dude, this is bad. You know, get back to where you need to be. You know, get the good flight of the ball. I mean, this is stuff they talk about now with all the analytics of the information of spin. You know, it's not new stuff. It's just not measured. It's measured so you know what's good and bad. And it's a good thing to have all this stuff. But that's what I try to do as much as possible was, you know, try to work outside a lot and try to hit those pitches, because down and out is a hard pitch to hit. Sliders, two seamers, backdoor, sinkers down and away. And so that was the thing you had to work on, while also understanding that motion of getting to inside pitches. If I can consistently work on that, you know, away. Okay, flip me in like a drill in the cage. Flip me in. Boom, click. Okay, I got it. I still got that. I still can get to that inside pitch.
Did you ever get in trouble playing at Fenway so much and having the monster be so close? You know, because I know for me, when I tried to pull the ball in my career, I would lose my swing. And playing in Fenway and playing there in 2008, man, there was a lot of times I'd hit one to left center and be like, oh, anytime else in my career, I'm out. But man, that's off the monster. Like, was it tough for you sometimes not see that thing and be like, man, I just got to hook one off there?
I actually got to the point where it was, I don't need to pull the ball. Don't think about pulling the ball. But, you know, for me is like when you get back to what you were saying before, that 3-1-2-1, now I can look in, right? And now I can look in, I can try to get in there. I can take my chances of trying to go deep. But at Fenway, when you stay at like, so right field is a bomb for righties and lefties, but for righties, like, I mean, I don't know how many times I hit the ball to right center field and I was like, I got it again. You know, like.
Well, what was funny about at Fenway, bro? You got the pesky pole to right there. I was like, yeah, hit it to the pesky pole. And then they're like, no, it goes pesky pole and jets out to 380. It's like right field is 380. I'm like, you don't realize it because you think the pesky pole is right there, but it's ridiculous.
It's a bomb. Yeah. So like, but for me, you know, I just stayed in the middle of the field and I was like, okay, well, the thing that really helps with righties is this. You get that right on right slider.
Yeah.
And you don't need to kill it. You just need to reach out and flick it. You just need to use the spin and reverse that spin just enough to get those hits off the wall. It was more about hits. And the thing that people don't understand is Fenway is not a home run place to a lot of people. It has more hits in there to left field, but left center field, that is an absolute bomb for a righty, you know, and a lefty too. But it's deep. I mean, you go to the very far right, you know, face the wall, that right part. I mean, you're hoping it gets up there and goes into the center field for that weird home run. But yeah, it's not an easy place to hit in that regard. But I didn't get into it. And when you do start getting, you saw the visiting guys change their swings. And that's where like our pitchers and Jason Varitek did an amazing job of recognizing swings and going, hey, they're seeing that wall. They want to go hit that thing, you know? Right. Okay, well, all right, this is how we're going to go. We're going to go hard up and in on you, you know, because you're already pulling out. And all you're going to do is foul it a mile, you know, outside the stadium. And then now we got you down the way. See ya.
Yeah. Well, what pissed me off was, you know, I'm there in Boston. I'm like, oh yeah, I got the pesky pole to right. I got the green monster to left. I'm coming off the bench backing you up, but I'm like, I'm at least going to hit 5 to 10 homers. Turns out I hit 0. And the one time I hit one off the monster, it got tossed to second. And then the next one I hit one to right center, bro. What are you talking about? I'm like, oh, that ball's gone. It hits the top of the fence. I don't know if you remember this. Nick Markakis freaking grabs it on the bare hand, throws me out by 10 feet a second. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. I come back to the dugout. I put my helmet down. I'm like, this is unbelievable. I can't hit a bomb here at Fenway. I got Terry Francona. Tito pulls me over. I was like, Case, can I talk to you real quick? I was, yeah, what's up? He's like, hey, listen, is there a chance you might have polio or something? I'm like, what? Are you serious? Like, yeah, you keep getting thrown out for second base. Do you remember that, dude? When I couldn't, it's unbelievable.
I've never laughed so hard in my life. You hit a ball on the left and you came in just straight his arms going across like this. And I'm like, oh, pick him up, put him down, Case. He was like, and your face was like, damn it. Damn it. And then the one to right, though. The one to right was an absolute seed. And I don't know if Markakis barehanded it, but he got that thing and threw a hose. And you can just see your eyes. If they had a camera today, like, your eyes would have been so big, like, oh, God. But tell about the best one. You forgot about the third one. You hit it again. And you were safe. The whole place erupted.
That's right. I went. I was like, I remember being so scared because Fenway kept booming like, you're slow, you suck. And I'm like, oh my God, I am slow. I'm freaking. So I remember hitting it off the monster. I'm like, I think I have this. Like, I think I have it. And it was bang, bang, dude. They would have run me out of Boston if I'd have got thrown out. But it was bang, bang, and the place went bananas.
You were covered in mud, hand in the ground. And we all were like, yeah. The whole dugout went nuts.
Oh, dude. I don't know what it was about my base running in Boston, but do you remember that one time we were in Yankee Stadium and it was it Ching Ming Wong? Is that his name? Is that his name? Yeah. What?
Was this at second base?
Yeah. When I was at second, I hit a. I remember you vividly because I hit a double, and I'm like, all right, baby, and I got he's getting a nice lead off second, and Ching Ming Wong comes set, and he like inside moves me, and I like just total yard sale, trip over myself, face planted the ground, and I start army crawling back, and the helmet fell over my face, and I look over, and Jeter and Cano haven't even moved, and I'm like, wait, there's no pickoff here, and I call myself safe, and I look in the dugout, and you're just like, I remember Youk on the top step, just like making sure, like, oh my God, something. And I remember saying to Jeter, I go, hey, bro. Jeter comes over dying laughing. He's like, I'm like, hey, no one saw that, did they? He goes, no, bro, it's no big deal. It was, and I think we were like Wednesday night baseball or something. I was like, oh man. But I remember you, Youk, just dying laughing, like, because it could have been you too, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I had to freak out. And the inside move on second base, and you're like, they don't usually try to pick us off at second base. You're just in freak out mode. Oh, God.
Total freak out mode. That's what it was. Like, I'm like, no one inside moves me. Like, no. I'm not stealing.
Like, I haven't seen this since I got people in the web at Richmond.
I was spinning webs, baby, back in the day. No one inside moved me. You know what I mean?
No, inside move. Come on, man. What the hell is that?
Oh my God, dude!
We're over 220, man. 220 pounders that are freaking 6'4".
Wait, when you guys came on before. My favorite thing, by the way, when John's friends come on, it's like a reunion tour. The 5 minutes before you come on, you immediately called each other pigs, and it made me think. He gave me a T-shirt once, and it said Boston Red Sox on a back. And what does it say? Like, suck it,
clean it. No, clean it up, you pig.
Yeah. Who invented that? You guys called each other pigs.
It was me. I brought it over from Cincinnati. Pete Harnish used to do it. So whenever I get in with Youk and these, first off, I was so grateful. I lockered next to Youk, and when he took his shirt off, I was like, finally, another hairy slob in the big leagues. Kevin Youkilis, and the guy rakes.
Finally. There's somebody that is like a sex figure like myself. It's like crazy. We had to carry our bats with us at all times. It just never would stop. Like it's like the little kids looking for autographs. It was just women on top of women. Like, oh God, look at these guys.
We were the guys that could get they're like, oh, there go Casey and Youk, just doing their thing. But I mean, Youk, I swear it was that. I absolutely loved it. We had so many laughs about that. I love that, man. But I want to turn back the clock for a second with you, man. Just go back to your story is so freaking awesome. And I'm so excited for the viewers that have never heard the Kevin Youkilis story. Like, you go to University of Cincinnati. You're a senior draft, right? Am I right? Senior draft, 8th round, right? Usually senior drafts, 8th rounds don't become 3-time All-Stars in the big leagues. Usually that's a plane ticket. Here you go. Here's a little plane ticket, and you report to A-ball. We'll see how you do. But bro, I felt like what I loved about you, Youk, is I saw so much of myself in there. Like, maybe people telling you couldn't do it. Maybe, hey, you don't have that, that perfect body or the perfect this or that. It's not, but you're an unbelievable athlete too. I mean, the way you could pick it at third base too. But I always felt like, man, when I played with you, I understood the story. I'm like, man, there's some chips on this guy's shoulder. Like, cause that's how I played too. Like, and I always felt like you were out there with something to prove. Can you talk about that going back to 2001 and getting drafted, and all of a sudden Kevin Youkilis' journey starts? And I believe the one person that believed you would be a 3-time All-Star was you.
Yeah, I think that was the only person that thought, hey, I got a chance here. I had a couple coaches along the way, but no, I mean, yeah, I grew up, as a chubby kid, and people just didn't, I got cut from Midland in Cincinnati at 16, got cut from my junior high team, and I was a 7th grader, but got cut. And, you just build, like, I think you've always said it, is you collect chips. Collect chips. And okay, you don't think I'm good enough? All right, well, here we go. Yeah. Next person, next one, another chip. Put that thing in that bag, man. Okay. When I got cut from Midland, that was like the biggest one for me, though. That was like, this is my hometown. I'm playing against all these guys. I'm like, I'm not good enough. All right, cool. I'll go to another summer ball team and we'll go kick your ass. And we kicked Midland's ass that year when I was 16, or I think it was 16 or 17.
And for the Midland Redskins, right? They're one of the.
Oh yeah,
they're nationally one of the best teams. Yes, yes.
So I don't know what they are now, but that's what, like, they were like, like I remember Corey Patterson was on that team. They brought him with the 18-year-old team, but they didn't look at me in that way, and I'm super thankful for that too, because it defined me as a person to this day. Of, hey, you want to tell me I can't do something? All right. Well, guess what? You're going to look bad when this is all said and done, because there's only two. I mean, listen, I might give it my best shot. I might not make it, but that's not a failure. That's just actually going out there, trying things, being uncomfortable and doing it. So for me, my story was, he's too unorthodox. His batting stance is unorthodox. He's too chubby. He can't do this. He can't. And all you hear is, you can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. Meanwhile, I'm racking up like totals of, like, I hit 400 my sophomore year. I hit like 356 with like more jacks and more doubles, more slug. I had a 499 on base percentage in college. Like, all the things you look at and you're like, I just remember after my junior year, I thought I was going to get drafted. Well, Michael Vick got taken in the 30th round by the Colorado Rockies. I'm going, holy shit. I was like, and I go look up. They're like, he hasn't played since junior high. I'm like, oh God, they think I have polio, Case. I'm like, they think I got polio. I can't. So I'm like sitting there. I'm so pissed. I'm so mad. My feelings are so hurt because I'm watching all these guys get drafted. I'm playing against, and I'm like, that guy got drafted. That guy stinks, And no offense to that guy that I said stinks. He didn't make it, but it's okay. He was a good player, good college career, all good. But, and that was the thing. And then I would go to Cape Cod. So I go to the Cape Cod League, and our team wasn't that good. We had some whiny little, like guys that were like, oh, the field stinks and this.
Uncle.
And I'm like, what? I was like, guys, we're in Cape Cod. The best pitchers of all time. And the whole time, like, what? There's scouts here. They want to watch us play games. Draft us. We can go play in the major leagues possibly. I'm like, the hell's wrong with you guys? Like, this is the greatest experience of my life. So I'm like just going out there playing, do my thing, finish the top 10 in hitting, put on, my coach, Mike Rickard, who's now vice president of the Red Sox and scouting and all that. We always have great stories to talk about this, but no one could play short at one point. So Rick goes, you get the short. I'm like, let's do it. Like, and Peter Gammons came out to that game, I think, and like he wrote about it, and I'm like, oh my God, Peter Gammons wrote about me. Holy, like, this is unbelievable.
I've made it. I
was like, no scouts will even draft me, but Peter Gammons wrote it. It's good. My dad's super happy, and and so I go back into my senior year. I hit 400 again, and even looking back now, like everyone's like, hey, you were in the first round. I'm like, oh, cool. That stop telling me that. I don't want to hear that anymore. You know, unless you have a paycheck that's going to have like 7 figures, and you're going to be like, hey, you should have been first rounder. Here you go. You know, I don't want to hear that anymore. Thankful for all the fat kids out there that break. You know, that get an opportunity than ever.
Me too, bro. Me too. Me too.
For those guys, right? But that's my story. Is like everyone was always saying, "You're not this. You're not that," and it's such a good lesson for anyone in life. If you have a passion, if you have a dream, there's always going to be people that are going to say, "You can't do this." I mean, I had guys that, you know, you can't do this, you know, and then you have people around you that just want to make you better. They want to make you better. They want to be around you because you want to make yourself better. And so what I did was I found those guys. Like people always ask me who are your best friends and all that. Like, Case, you were one of the closest guys. And it was funny. Like all the guys I got close to, they all left after like 2 years. Like Jason Day, yourself. I'm like, all my out there. And so for me, I just kept learning and growing and just trying to build and get better and better. I wasn't a great defender. I made myself into a better defender at third. But it took people that believed in me to work with me that said, hey, we can work on this. And so that's the key to everything. And I'll tell you what, the craziest story too was I get to the major leagues. And speaking of a chip on your shoulder, I got voted in the top, I think it was like top 5 of my peers in a year that said I was one of the most overrated baseball players. Remember when they come around your locker and they ask you those questions?
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. We were in Boston and this came out, and I'm down the batting cage, and this thing comes out. It's like Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, myself, and a couple other guys. And I'm literally, all I kept saying was, "Damn, I didn't even know I was rated." I think it was like 06. Like 07, I think it was 07 or something, or 08. I forget what year it was. But I literally was like, holy cow. My peers think I'm overrated. All right, cool.
Right. Chip.
I went out that season and just tore it up. Just had a hell of a year because my peers, like, first of all, I remember those things. I never filled out that section of overrated. Made no sense to me. We're all here. We're all rated. We're all good. We're the best in the world. All of these guys are the best in the world. Like, how are you overrated? And that's just part of the whole thing of having a chip on my shoulder. And it helped me. It helped me a lot. Like, I love when people like talk crap.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And it's so funny too. What is this freaking high school? That's what do we, we're in the big leagues here. What are we filling out overrated? By the way, that's a pretty good list though. If you were on A-Rod, Jeter, you, and I listen, what did I say the other day? I was telling somebody, gosh, what was the analogy? I was saying, hey, listen, if you're getting booed, that means they know who you are. You need to worry when no one's saying anything about you. So someone's saying you're overrated, that means they know who you are. And that means you're a pretty good player.
You were saying that to me because I was so pissed off, but a couple of assholes that you said it to me, literally.
That's right. I was saying it to Chinch. I said
that means you're doing it right. I was like, what?
Yeah, I said if they're talking about you, that means they know who you are, and I mean you're doing something right, you know? So Yuki, I love that, man. I love because like I said, I resonate with that story so much because that was really me too. And what's great was, you know, for you when you first got to the minor leagues, you know, and I think the first year when you were in the Penn League, I believe I read this right. You had 70 walks and 28 punchies. 70 walks and 28 punch outs. Like I don't know if anyone's ever played baseball before, but that's really hard to do. I don't care if you're freaking in Little League. That's hard to do. You know what I mean? So where did you get that eye? Well, like who taught you that the strike zone was so important? Where was that influence from?
Yeah, part of it, I think I was just born with it a little bit of, natural, good vision. I had like 2011 vision.
Jeez, Ted Williams.
Yeah, I mean, people are like, "Oh my God, your vision." I'm like, "What? Like you don't know yet." I mean, no one's like, if you have bad vision, right? Because you can't see something. But you have really good vision, and you're just like, "Oh yeah, it's just normal to you, right?" Like it's just like you live with it, and then people are like, "Holy cow, you got this vision." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Maybe that's why I can see the baseball, right?"
Right.
So, that was a part of it, right? Of like having a good eye. But then I learned in college, and my college coach kind of explained it one time. He's like, showed up kind of percentages on breaking balls. how many times a guy can repeat a really good breaking ball. And it's a very low percentage. And so what I learned was, okay, if he's going to throw me this really good breaking ball for a strike, is he able to do this multiple times in a bat? Most likely not. So what you learn is you got to learn your quadrants of the strike zone. You got to get a good feel of pitches and how they move, seeing it, adjusting. Once you know your foundation of a strike zone, then we can start working. If you don't know that ball's outside and you're asking the umpire, hey, is that outside? You're like, hey, you got that on the corner? And it's like literally in the middle, inner half or like outer half or whatever. You're like, holy cow. Like, and we've all been there. Like we see a pitch, oh man, we're just not seeing it. But time and time again, you have guys that don't know that they don't even know where they're at. They're going up there hacking. So I learned that discipline in college. I learned it throughout, but in college, I learned, hey, early in the count, you got to get a good pitch and drive. Don't just go up there and just swing to swing because you're going to have a rollover. You're going to pop it up. You're going to do stupid stuff. So get a good pitch to drive early. And then with 2 strikes, it's no longer you're at bat per se. It's still you're at bat because you can still work the count. You can still go get a pitch but you don't have as many choices. You got to cover all quadrants of the zone. So I think that's where it kind of started was in college, and I just kind of took it. But that first year of pro ball, man, I always joke around. I'm like, when you play in the New York Penn League or you play in the low A, there's a lot of guys throwing the ball over the map. So I learned real quick. These guys are throwing 95 to 97
with no idea.
I'm like, I am literally looking right here. And if a guy hits this quadrant, and this quadrant, I'm probably out anyway, right?
Oh, that's so true. I played in the Penn League my first year too, and I was like, man, these guys throw hard, and I'm a little scared because I'm getting buzzed by guys throwing 98. I'm like, wow, this isn't University of Richmond anymore. These guys have no idea where the ball is going, and I think that was definitely a scary proposition back then. So Youk, as you move, brother, you got great numbers, you got great on base percentage, great power. You're kind of doing your thing. And you finally get called up in 2004. Where were you when you got called up? And who was the first person you called when you got called up?
Yeah, so we were in Charlotte playing. And back then it was weird because it was in South Carolina. So it was on the other side. And I was in my hotel room, and Buddy Bailey was the manager. He's a coach with the Cubs now, but huge Southern accent. He's like, hey, you. I'm like, yeah, buddy. He's like, you got your passport? And I was like, oh, wait, I do have my passport. I went on the Red Sox cruise that year, and I had it on me. I'm like, oh, my God. I was like, and then I was trying to think in my head. I'm like, wait, what? And then I was like, oh, my God, the team's in Toronto. I didn't even think that.
Oh, wow.
He goes, hey, because you're going to the big leagues. And I'm like, wow. Oh, my God. And I literally just sweating profusely, freaking out. Got to go get got to pack up my stuff. I got to go to the field to go get it. Right. So I had to go get my equipment. I mean, I called my mom and dad and told them, and, they're freaking out. They're super pumped. They go and get their plane, to go to Toronto. I go get on a plane. Well, they didn't know because Bill Miller had a knee issue, and they decided that he's probably going to need to get cleaned out. So I go up there, I land in Toronto, I go to the hotel, and they're like, just sit there. And I'm like, Tito will call you and let you know because you might. I'm like, wait, I might not be in. I might. I'm like, oh God, even more nerve wracking. Watch the game on TV. All my, back then it was a lot different getting a hold of people. Right. So I'm trying to tell as many people as possible, and just sitting there. And then it was in Toronto, and I got no money. I'm a minor league guy. I'm like, wait, how much is it going to cost me? I'm like,
shit. Probably didn't know anything about that, right? What's $1 worth up here? I
was like, do I have an AON out? Trying just to get a message out to somebody. And then Tito calls me after the game. He's like, hey, Youk, you're in there tomorrow at third base, man. So pumped. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Called and said, I'm playing tomorrow. And I think I got 4 hours of sleep, man. I was so jacked up. I mean, I was I was throwing about 8 Red Bulls, 5 greens.
Yeah. That's so great. So that first night, though, tell us about your first hit.
Yeah. So, the coolest part was I show up to my locker, and I had an offensive lineman number in spring training. I went to a middle linebacker, 50. I think it was like 55. I go in, and all of a sudden I see Youkilis 20, and I was like, "Oh my
yes."
And so Joe, the legendary Joe Cochran, hooked me up, and he later told me, he's like, "You were always a good guy, and that's why I gave you a good number." And I was like, "Oh, wow, paid off." Right?
Yes, JC, the best, the best.
And so, literally, I'm like, just taking BP, just, oh man, I got 4 hours of sleep. Didn't even matter. Like, I was just living large, and holy cow, this is the dream. And so I get up my first at bat. I'm facing Pat Henkin, so a Cy Young Award winner, and he's at the tail end of his career, so it was a little bit better. Not like where he was just dominating and shoving. So first at bat, I get a 2-1 pitch, and I just missed it. I skied it to short. Just skied it to short. And literally I go, hit the roof. Then I look up and I'm like, well, that was dumb. That thing's the highest roof I've ever seen.
It's 30,000 feet in the air.
And so I just round in, take it in. And then my second at bat, I get to a 2-1 count again, throws another changeup. And I just perfectly just get barrel on it. Ball jumps into the second deck.
Oh, my gosh.
I literally went around the bases so fast. And I was like, oh, my God. That's a home run. My first major league game. So I get it, then I'm rounding third, get the high five. And then I start looking in, and no one's like even standing up or nothing.
Johnny's like, silent treatment.
And I go in, and I literally just like do the fake high fives, go sit down in between Millsy and Tito, and then everyone just like jumped up and gave me a big hug. And man, that was just one of the coolest. I mean, everyone remembers their first game, everyone remembers the first hit, and this is a truly special moment because you put so much time and work and mental grind, and I think that's the thing that people never understand. I always joke around. I said, once you become a professional hitter, you're never right in the head after it.
Yeah.
You always got one screw.
So true. Oh my God, so true. So Yuki, that team though, you're on that 04 team. I mean, even when they celebrate, you're on the playoff roster, or you were at least up there with them. What was that like, that team, man? Because I think for any baseball fan, when you look back at all the World Series and the history of the game, you might go back to that 2004 team and go, man, down 3-0 to the Yankees, they come back. They end up sweeping the Cardinals. They break the curse, and Boston forever has changed. Can you take us back on what that whole experience was like for you and just being a part of that team?
Yeah, I mean, in your rookie year, I mean, you're trying to survive in so many different ways. You're just trying to you're trying to learn, you're trying to grow, you're trying to get in the lineup. Once Bill Miller came back, I had to take a little bit of a back seat and then fill in and play here and there sporadically. Anytime there's a lefty, they would find a way to get me in. But yeah, I got like 200 plus at bats.
Wow.
And made the roster in the first series. Got in. I think I faced K-Rod.
When he was nasty.
Just suck on this one. I think I got 2 at bat. I think it struck out me. I forget. Played a little defense that in Anaheim at third base. Holy cow! Like talk
so
about,
scared. Were you so scared?
God, third base in the playoffs. You're like, don't screw this up. You have one job to do.
Oh my God!
And don't worry. If you screw this up, there are millions of people in Red Sox Nation that will kill you.
Oh my God!
Really kill you.
That's so.
Luckily, I didn't.
So true.
Right. I get taken off the ALCS for Mendoza. They need another pitcher, and then I got put back on the World Series. Didn't get an opportunity. Almost pinch hit with the base low. They put Millar in to pinch. I always told Tito, I was like, dude, bad move, man. Don't put a starter. Don't put a starter. Put in this guy. I'm a rookie. It's Wellmeyer, whoever it was. I was like, don't put in the guy that's the veteran. Put in the rookie that doesn't know any better.
Yeah, I just might run into one. There's
either a chance I'm striking out here, looking, I'm scared, or I'm freaking going to hit a bomb. There's no in between. But yeah, I mean, that team was unbelievable. It was all veterans, right? I think I got sent down for a week or two. I think it was a week. And Mark Bellhorn had to carry the beers because he was the next guy that had
really
amount of service time after me, and it was crazy.
Wow!
Right? So you had all these veterans. I mean, Ellis Burks took me under his wings, showed me a lot about, how to be a big leaguer. We hung out in the ALCS and had a good time in New York, drank a couple sodas, a couple waters, had a great time. Yeah, I mean, we drink sodas and waters, really good times. And we had a blast. And there was like Kurt Laskanik I hung out with a bunch, Bellhorn, just a lot of veteran guys that were fun, that really explained a lot to me about how to be a big leaguer. And then I just sit back and watch. Dave McCarty was another one that helped me out a lot. Doug Mirabelli, Kurt Schilling, they like made me play cards with them all the time. And they really just ingrained me into like being a big leaguer. And that team is so funny because I explained that there was like crazy stuff that was always happening. That team didn't always get along, but when those lights came on, it was the most respect of we're going to go out and we're going to play together. It was just a bunch of different characters, all unique in their own ways. But that's what I learned the most was we're not here all to be best friends. We're all to be the best competitors. And when those lights go on, it's us versus them, and we're going to kick their ass every single day. And I don't give a crap like, hey, your best friend's over there and he's playing short. You're going to take him out, put him into the monster, and then you're going to take him into – then we're going to go out and have a beer afterwards. Right. And that attitude taught me so much about the game was if those guys on the other side don't see you doing that, they're not going to respect you as much either. So I think that's something that's kind of changed a little bit in the game. There's some good with that too, of like young guys coming up and being allowed to be their own selves, which wasn't the case when I was younger. But that team was fun. It taught me a lot about not just on the field, but off the field, how to take care of it.
The guy that I really remember from that team, and obviously then the legend started, really started in 03, but 04, was Big Poppy. I mean? I just felt like Pop came up in so many big spots and came through every time. And you were a big clutch guy, bro. I mean, when you were up with the game on the line, I was always like, we're going home, fellas. Like, I felt that way. Did you learn a little bit from him? Like, what was so great about David? Like, what was so great about him playing with him all those years you did? And what was so great about him in the clutch, And did you learn anything about that, how he went about his business?
Well, yeah, I mean, he was the only guy that could be on his computer on his laptop, and then, like, he's in the hole, and next thing you know, he gets up, grabs a bat, and goes out there and hits a bomb. Like, it's the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. It's like, yeah, I got this. No, we're good. Hold on, let me click off real quick.
You're up.
Hey, big pop. Oh, yeah, I got this. I mean, what I learned from him is live for the moment. Never be scared of the moment. You might not always. You're not always going to have success in those big moments. It's just a part of the game. But don't ever be scared of it. Don't be scared of being great and want to have a good at bat. But the key is this: you got to have a good at bat. You can't just because when you start trying to be the hero all the time, you're going to strike out a lot because you're going to try to hit versus hey, have a good at bat. David did that well. He would take his walks because he knew like sometimes they're going to walk him. So that's what I learned too was, hey, yes, it's good to be in the moment, but you got to contain yourself. You got to calm yourself down. You got to be the same type of person you were in that first at bat as you are in that big situation later in the game. And if you consistently have those good at bats, you're going to show up when the game is on the line. You're going to do great things. But if you're going through these roller coaster of emotions all the time, it just doesn't work out. And I loved it, man. I loved being in those moments because I knew that I could take a walk or get a hit in that situation. But I'm not going to go up there and just swing at 3 pitches that are outside of my comfort zone just because I'm trying to get the glory. And I think that's what I learned from those guys the best was, hey, we know that they're going to pitch us tough here in these situations, and hey, we're looking for our pitch, our spot. And when we do, we're going to capitalize on it.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like too. And it seemed like you learned so many lessons, like your progression as a player. Like when you finally got a chance to play, really in 06, you started playing every day. And 07, you guys won the title again. So you break the curse in 04, then they win it again. You guys win it again in 07, and you're a huge part of that. What are your best memories from that 07 run and that team?
Yeah, the ALCS for me was just absolutely wild. I think it was like 14 for 28. I mean, it was unreal. Like it was, I mean, I hit a ball into right field that like the center field or I think it's Grady and Sizemore, and it might have been Trott. They like almost look at each other. Ball falls in. I'm like, yep, hot. Here good.
Everything's falling.
Yeah, falling everywhere. But I think the ALCS and coming back there, we were down 3-1, and
that's right.
The biggest memory for that was Game 5, first at bat in Cleveland. CeCe's on the mound, and I'm hitting second, and I took him deep to left.
Wow.
And right after that, it was like, here come the Sox. And it was just boom, 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 boom. So getting that, getting your team in that, comfortable position, like, hey, we're up 1-0 in the first inning. That just gave us momentum to keep going and going and going and going. And, when you play on a good team, man, you just have a bunch of guys that just jump on each other's backs. I mean, at one point, it could be yourself. The next point, it's the guy behind you. It's the guy in front of you. And that's what those teams had. 1 through 9, just tough outs. Our jobs every single time was to make those pitchers hate facing us. And we did a great job of it. And I think that's what I'm most proud of all those teams everyone was unique in their own ways, but they all had one objective: to get that pitcher out of the game as quick as possible, get in that bullpen, and just do damage.
Yeah, man. Wow. Those teams were fun, man. They were fun to watch. And I think the passion of you guys was unbelievable. But playing in Boston in 2008, people will say, what's one of your favorite places to play? I was like, I'd never seen a passionate fan base as I did in Boston. And bro, it was cool for me, like being your good friend when you would come to the bat and the whole place would be like, you know what I mean? What was that like for you, bro? First off, two parts here. What was it like for you when they chanted Youk every freaking time you did anything? If you made a routine ground in the third, you throw it to me at first. I'm like, Youk, it was so cool. And what was it like winning those championships and in the parade, the city of Boston? Like, what are your takeaways from that?
Yeah, the first part of it, I mean, I never dreamed that. Like, it was crazy. I mean, the funny part was, it was the off the field that was the hardest. People would, you walk in a bar and be like, yeah, and I was duck. And me, like I didn't really love the attention off the field.
Yeah, I know you didn't. I know.
I did not like it. I don't know. It's funny. Like when you were reading all the stuff like about my stats, like I just kind of like, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable in it. I don't know why. I've always been like that. But I think the key is, with when you're playing in a game, it's the most adrenaline rush. And when you have the fans supporting you, you feel so good. Like, yeah. And not every player got that. I mean, they got a lot of boos too. So I think that's one of the hardships too of, playing there. It definitely could be a wild time with that. But for me, it was awesome. I mean, the fans have always been so endearing. And then the second part of that question where you're – sorry, I forgot about the second part. The
second part was just about the parades. Yeah. The parades, yeah. And like you getting a chance to see the people in Boston and their love for you guys winning it all.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest parts was, the fan support when we won it. It was wild. I mean, 2004, we got off the plane from St. Louis. We were all, tired, if that's the right word.
From partying.
We were a little tired. I don't know if that's the right word. My rhyme was
hungover.
Smug over. But we if you've ever seen the YouTube video with Streets Have No Name, where they start walking, like sell their cars, they start walking. And literally that happened when we're going over, like, I forget what highway from the airport. Everyone starts realizing it. You have the cop cars going, you have the buses going. People are just hitting their horns. Construction workers up in the, they're going nuts. And it literally was like, holy cow, this is the YouTube video. And we are we're the ones that come to walk for. Awesome. This is insane. And so going on the duck boats, I mean, that was absolutely epic. People are jumping in the Charles. It's freezing cold. I mean, the euphoria of that is unmatched. And I think that's one of the hardships for a lot of athletes when they get done with the game, because you're never going to be able to match that euphoria.
Right.
You know, that dopamine, like that. You can't put it into words in a lot of ways. And then 2007, we get to do it again and being a bigger part of that team than in 2004. And I'll tell you, man, if you could replicate that every single day of your life, life is going to be great. But it's hard. Right. I mean, and I think, and looking back, it was just so special. You have those moments with your teammates. And the crazy thing is, you know, Case, we all go in our different ways. You know, we all try to, like, you know, people want us to all stay best friends. But, you know, somebody once told me, if you talk to 5 people after you're done playing, it's a good. And I was like, no way. Like, and
you're lucky.
No way, right? You're lucky, and it's true. So, you know, if we could do those, I literally say, like, we should have like a duck boat, you know, thing where like the ex players back and just do one little lap for everyone, just to like get that feeling again. Those great times that we got to all share together.
Oh my gosh, dude. So cool. And like I said, man, playing in Boston and seeing the passion of those fans, I was like, please let me be, you know, we got to the game 7, the ALCS.
We should have won that though.
Dude, we were so good. That was the best team I ever played on.
Japan screwed us over. If we didn't go to Japan, we would have won the World Series that year.
Dude, Japan. I remember we went to Japan, then LA. Yeah. I
got it. You know, I can hit.
No, I'm good. I'm so glad you signed me. This worked out really well. So excited. Dude, so remember Tempur-Pedic? We're going to Japan. It's like a 16-hour flight. Tempur-Pedic sponsoring the freaking Red Sox. They're like, here, take these 6 pillows. I'm like, oh, this is great, dude. So, and dude, what's so funny is looking back, I was watching a documentary on John Cena. Like, I mean, it's so funny. I'm like, what am I doing? I was a big wrestling fan at the time. So anyway, I'm watching this documentary and I take the back support pillow, the round one, right, Youk? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to lay down for a second. I don't even know, you know, they told us not to sleep on the way. I don't even remember what the equation was. I just look back and Big Poppy and Veritek and our guys are dishing out cards and cash is flying. I'm like, I'm going to take a little nap right here. I'm watching John Cena, you know, win this belt for the 12th time. So I laid down on the back support pillow. I'm just like sawing logs, like, and like next thing I know, like 3 hours later, I get up and I'm like, Houston, we have a problem. I cannot move my neck. And then I'm like, why the hell am I laying down on the back support pillow? Like, you know, so next thing you know, right? We get to Japan, 16-hour flight. I'm like, oh my God, we go to BP the next day and I can't look to the pitcher. And Dave Magadan, the hitting coach, is like, hey, Case, what are you doing? I was like, well, you know what? I got a problem, Mags. I slept on the back support pillow for 3 hours on the flight and I can't look right. So I'm like, what a trip to Japan. So that started it out, bro. But you're right. We went to Japan. I got a kinked neck. It was mayhem there. And then we go to LA and we play in front of 128,000 people.
And that's when I took a drug dealer deep. Let's come on the line.
It's one of your best successes of your career.
How did I know what was going to happen in the future?
Little did you know, exactly. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
dude!
It was like
go back.
80-foot. It was like 180-foot homer.
I remember that because they had to bring the net in. It was like 180 to left, and you hit this lazy fly ball to left. Like that thing's 55 rows deep. Kevin Youkilis has sick power.
I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed to run around the bases. I didn't want to run around the bases. It was almost like I wanted Babe Ruth, like where I could tap somebody to run around the bases. I was so embarrassed.
Well, dude, I also remember, do you remember this? Like we were down there and it was like the who's who of Hollywood was at this game. It was, we were at the Coliseum, right? The LA Coliseum. And I remember it was like, when the national anthem hits, we all sit down and I look down and like, I think Pamela Anderson's on our bench. I'm like, what the hell's Pamela Anderson doing on the bench? And there's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I was like, how did Kareem Abdul-Jabbar get on our bench? And it was just like star after star after star. And I remember during batting practice seeing Pedroia say hi to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I was like, whoa. Now that looks like Andre the Giant, you know, next to some little
Pedroia is tall.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, dude. Yeah, it was so funny. So, dude, we played there. What do you like? That was a cool trip to go. I mean, it wasn't that cool. Japan, LA. Then we were in Toronto. And it was the only time in my life I took Ambien.
We had like 5 opening days that year.
Oh, dude, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
So I mean, we were spent, right? I mean, I look back and I think that's why if we didn't have, because we just got done with the World Series.
Yeah.
Who the hell plans a trip after winning the World Series in October where our pitchers got to get ready a little earlier? And I can tell you who it was that did that, but it was all for money. And it was like, dude, there was a lot of us. Yeah, we trust us. We all love the paychecks and all that. We wanted to win. Like winning was everything. And we didn't give a crap about going to Japan and making money, but it's a part of the game. You're trying to grow the game, but it just wasn't right. And it carried over with the pitching staff. The pitching staff had to get ready earlier, and it just out that year. And we were so close, and nothing to take against the Rays who beat us,
well, they got hot. I mean, Longo had a 6 series. BJ Upton hit like 5 bombs. Carlos Pena was going. Everyone was going deep, and we still lost Game 7, 3-1. I mean, we were. That team bothers me. In Tito's book, and John Cena was there. Yeah, John Cena was
all the way around.
Bro, John Cena was the reason my neck was jacked up in Japan. And then John Cena.
Did he hit Wake?
He hit me and Wake. He hit me and Wake during that series. We met John Cena out. We were just saying this to a guy in the last podcast. We met John Cena out at the bar, and he chopped me and Wake and Jonathan Van Avery. I'm like, hey, this guy's a rookie. Chop him too. Cena just started chopping everyone in the bar. It was unbelievable. So Cena bookended my year. He bookended my trip to Japan, and he bookended a couple chops in the ALCS. It was unbelievable.
Thanks,
yes. Oh my God. So Yuki, your career goes on, bro. In 2012, you end up getting traded, which probably the Red Sox fans, myself, thought it was kind of incomprehensible at the time. The Bobby Valentin thing, all that stuff. We don't have to even go there because we know that was a kind of a shit storm in itself. But when your last at bat, can you take us back to that when the crowd was really, everyone kind of felt like this could be it?
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, that year stunk in so many different ways. I mean, terrible signing of a manager that just had no idea what he was doing. Just lost the clubhouse
at spring training. I was going to say,
which is very hard to do. Somehow he implemented me, and I was, he loved Will Middlebrooks, and he wanted Middlebrooks there, and he convinced everyone, and so be it. And it was okay. They weren't going to sign me back, and they had other intentions. So it's a part of the game, and it stinks, right?
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and you got to deal with it. But the crazy part about that day was, well, the whole year stunk. Like, you never knew when you were playing. You show up to the yard, you don't know if you're playing. I went every game. I knew I was playing every game, and Tito would tell me I'm not playing today because you're, hey, we're going to rest you today, or, hey, somebody else is going to play, whatever, the matchup game, the computer. We always say the computer got us. It was just a bad season.
True.
I wasn't 100% where for me, like where I need to be. And going in that last game, it was wild. I didn't pay attention to a lot of the chatter around Boston, so I guess there was a lot of chatter about it. But in my first at bat, literally, it was like somebody gets up and they just start the clap. Like, they just start clapping, and then all of a sudden the whole stadium starts like getting up, and I'm like, oh my God. And I see it, like, 'cause I'm on deck swinging, and everyone starts clapping, and like I literally like felt like 300 pounds, like the weight, like my heart, like everything, like emotionally, I was like, oh my God. And so I've never had that happen to me, like where they just start clapping when you get up. And I just remember I tipped my hat. I had to step out of the box, like, and the umpire kind of like called time too. Like, he was like, and I just tipped my cap to the fans, and I'm just kind of embarrassed too, like where I just put it back on, and then I'm like, I can't breathe. Like, I have to hit right now. I can barely.
I'm a mess.
Like, it was so emotional. Like, it was really, really emotional, because if you've never been through that, you have no idea.
Right.
And it was really heartwarming. And I think that's why I was emotional, because it just showed how much those fans cared about me. And I forget what I did in that bat or whatever, but
you singled off the pitcher. You beat it out.
Right. Yeah. That's right. and hit the pitcher. That's right. I hit like off the end of the bat, get a funky hit, and people are going nuts. Woo! Yeah, look at this guy. We're gonna trade this. Trade him. You can't even hit it past the pitcher. And then in my last at bat, I forget what inning it was, but I hit this ball into right center field day game, which is like you hit the ball in right center field in day game. Good luck, right fielder. So I think it was Jason Hayward and Michael Bourne, and they kind of like looked at each other because it was in that where that sun thing was. Right. Like, oh God. And so it drops in, and I'm running out the gate, and all of a sudden I see it drop and kick, and I'm like, I'm taking off. I'm going 3, got to get that slugging percentage up. So I take off the third, slide in, and all of a sudden, like I get up and the crowd's just going nuts. And then all of a sudden, one of my closest guys, my buddies, Nick Punto, comes out.
Oh, the best.
Get me. And I was like, oh my God, like, here we go. Like, and I the whole stadium just stands up, goes nuts. I blew some kisses to him, took my helmet off, and then literally just all the emotion came out, right? Like, just started tearing up, started crying a little bit. Then my teammates came out, and I didn't know what to do, and I'm trying to high five, and the fan, like I remember it, but I don't. And then Bobby's top stepping it, trying to get the fans all excited.
Yeah, you're like, get out of here.
Acting a fool like he always did. And then I went back in, and Ben Cherington was up at the top of the steps.
Wow.
And I was like, give it to me. Where am I going? And because at that time, my wife was 7.5 months pregnant, and we were trying to get to California. So she, we lived in California, so she could be able to like drive down and be where I'm at. And, because, I wanted to see my wife, this is our first our child together. And it was tough. And so they told me I was going to Chicago, and it was no offense to Chicago. I just really wanted to be in California with my soon to be child, and be there to support my wife through it. And he told me Chicago, and I was pretty upset just for the fact that, LA was in the mix and something didn't happen there. But I just remember getting really emotional. And then Dave Magadan came up and, talked to me, and he started breaking down, and we just cried together. And it was just an end of a good run in Boston. And it was wild, got in my car and just drove off. And, it was a weird feeling. I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to come back here. Right. And little did I know that I was going to come back that season.
What was that? What was that like, bro?
Yeah. And so so we came back, and the crazy part was after I got traded, they're already like a week later, we're like, Youkilis returns, like selling tickets. Like, wow, there we go. We're back at it again. It's all business. So we kind of, and so going back was wild, because being on the other side, I've never been on the visitor side. Wow. Yeah. It was just
clubhouse, right? Was the worst visiting clubhouse in the world, right? Isn't it the worst?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Tiny clubhouse.
Oh, yeah, I've been in there.
And it was just terrible. Yeah, just awful. And I was like, oh God, now I know what they're all talking about. It's just crap. But it was good to see everybody, and just that first game back, and I got Dunner hitting behind me, right? And Dunner's like, just wait till they put the montage on, dude. It's gonna be awesome. So Dunner is goofball. And so he's like, hey, you got to do something really cool when they freaking go. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, Dunner?
What am I supposed to do?
I was like, what do you do? So Dunner's like poking at me, like digging in, and come up to bat, and the place went nuts. There's all these Youk signs everywhere, and just it was very emotional too. But the cool part was there was not John Lester was pitching, and I forget what inning it was, and second and third, nobody on first. Dunner's hitting behind me, so I'm thinking to myself like, there's a good chance they're probably going to
walk you. Me. Yeah.
Nope. They come right at me. And Lester, I don't know if he hung a curveball or I forget what it was. And I go deep off Lester. I take him to, and it put us ahead. So it puts us ahead by like 2 or something like that, or 3 or something. It was tied, so they didn't walk, and I hit the homer, and it was like, it didn't feel good to go off Lester, but it's good. I mean, John Lester's a hell of a pitcher, so you want
it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
it was more just payback. Like, take that, you egomaniac, that you wanted him to get me out in that situation more than being smart and going John Lester versus Adam Dunn, a left on left matchup. You know, that's a little tougher for Dunner with the cutter. And the place went nuts. The place was cheering.
Did they really? Oh my gosh.
And so they did the Youk while I'm running around the bases. They're cheering. They hated it so bad by that point that it was just like they were just cheering me the whole series. And that was the special part. And that's when
that's awesome.
You know. And that's the difference. You have the business side, the front office, all this stuff. Then you got the fans. And the fans have always been endearing to me.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I got the chills you telling that story. That must have been what an experience to come back there so quick and to get – they're still chanting Youk. Even though you're on the White Sox, they're still chanting Youk. That's so –
yeah, they loved
so
it.
Great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's so great. Dude, that time – I just remember this, and I just want you to touch on it because this guy was one of my favorite teammates. That time, Bobby Valentine, is this Valentine? Valentin? All right, whatever. Bobby Valentine.
John Valentine.
Valentine, whatever his name is. Anyway, he said he was crushing. Yeah, he was crushing you, and I'm like, the one dude you probably would never crush about how he plays the game is Kevin Youkilis, or you're not paying attention, right? And I remember they came to Pedroia and they said, "What do you think about what Bobby V said about Youk?" And Pedroia, I mean, couldn't have backed you any harder about I don't know, what this guy's saying, and kind of crushed Bobby V and really backed you up. Yeah. Petey was one of those guys, man. I was like, that is vintage Dustin Pedroia as far as a teammate goes. What did you love so much about him as your teammate, and and what did you love about him as a player?
Well, yeah, that was a big one, right? Like he said, that's not how we do things around here.
Yeah.
He said
to the manager, it's not how we do things around here. It's so good.
That's not how we do things around here. No, that was huge. I mean, that was Petey though. Petey's the ultimate competitor. He's the ultimate baseball fan. He loved baseball. Like, I love baseball. That dude is like, your doctorate. I mean, I felt like I got my doctorate in baseball. Like, this guy got his, I don't even know what you put, the Nobel Peace Prize of like love for baseball. Like, it's unbelievable. Showing up to the field, like his passion, his drive, his will, like he loved the game. He really, really loved the game, and it made it easier for all of us to love the game around him. And at times, it gets tough. You mentally get into these ruts in baseball, and Petey did too. There's times where Petey, he would literally was like, "Oh my God, can I play at this level?" Like, and then all of a sudden he gets 10 hits. I was playing 15 at bat, and you're like, "Yeah, there you go, Petey. You got it." And that was the thing is we all went through it together, right? And we all backed each other up in different ways. When Petey wasn't hot, you try to be hot, and when I'm cold, right. And I love playing next to him on the right side of the infield. We had so many good communications of how to play guys, how to move. We just flowed, unbelievable. Like I'd be like, Petey, one right. He'd be like, "Oh, I got you." And I'm like, "Hey, two left." Like, I'm coming to the line. He's like, "All right, cool." And then he'd be like, "You, two to your left." And I look back, and he's like close to me. I'm like, "All right." And we just had that really good communication. And we didn't want anything to get through that hole. Like, we wanted we wanted to rob every single ball hit that way. And I think the best part about it was how we trained together in Arizona at the same place. We like all that, but just watching him and his passion for the game made you better. It made your team better. It made everyone around you better. And just the way he went about it. I mean, I think the funniest one for me and a funny story is Kyle Farnsworth. So we're facing Kyle Farnsworth in New York. And everyone that knows Kyle, and you tell the best Kyle Farnsworth story, hands down. Throwing 100. Well, everyone knows the story of him charging.
When he charged Paul Wilson, you're like, holy shit, that's the first time I've ever seen a pitcher charge a hitter in my life.
So Petey is like when it comes to baseball, like there's no tougher dude mentally in the sense of like he's like, "I want to kick your ass," but then like you go up to him, you're bigger. "Oh, hey, how you doing?" Like, thing, right? You know that one. He'll talk so much smack, but then if like a big dude like gets like real serious, he'll be like, "Oh, I'm just kidding,
just kidding."
And it's the best, right? So we're sitting there, and Farnsworth is warming up, and we're on deck. And Petey goes, "Oh God, dude! Like, hey, do you think this guy's gonna hit me?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And he said something. I go, "Petey, what are you talking about?" He's like, "Dude, this guy would kill me. Like he'd kill me. Did you see what he did to Wilson?" I'm like, "Petey, you see how big that dude is? If that dude charges you, he's gonna get called like." He is going to get called out by all of his friends. Like, why would you charge Pedroia?
Right.
Like, you're such a wuss. Like, come on, man. Pick out some of your own side. And Petey's like, oh. And I'm like, oh, my God. Petey's scared. I'm like, he's scared of this dude. He gets up there, patented Petey, steps in the bucket, whack, hits a freaking laser. And I look at him in his face, and I am crying. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I've never seen you that scared in my life.
Oh my
I've
God.
never seen him that scared. And the next minute, he's just stepping in the bucket, hitting a rocket.
So Petey, that's so great. That's so great.
And that's him, man. That was the beauty of Petey, man. Like, even if he was a little bit scared, like he found a way. Just was, and that's the beauty of baseball, man. It's just like those stories are like what make games so much fun.
That's what's great about baseball. It doesn't matter what your size is, your strike zone is your strike zone. You can hit, you know? I'm interested on this, because the crowd, Clemens, Johnny Damon, you start to think about the guys that have kind of played in the Red Sox, Yankees. I don't even consider you a Yankee. You were there so quickly. But was that weird for you? Being over there, like signing with them, you got a nice deal from them, but was it weird putting on that Yankee uniform after you were in the mix in the biggest rivalries, Red Sox Yankees? That's when it was at its height. Was that weird for you, putting on that jersey?
Yeah, it definitely was weird. I mean, the hard part was I got offers from other teams, but they weren't going to win. They weren't. They were in rebuild, or they were kind of in between, and they weren't going to win. And I have to win. Like, I'm not playing the game just to play the game. Like, I love baseball. But after you're in Boston, you're winning championships, you see what that feels like, that euphoria. Like, you don't want to go to – like, I had Tampa that offered me something. Cleveland offered me something. But I was like, man, I can't go to these places, play in front of no fans, because in those rebuilds, those cities are – no one shows up to the games. When they're going good, they show up. Even Tampa, and no one shows up hardly ever.
Yeah, even when they're going good.
Even when they're going good, which really stinks, because they got a really good club for many years. But yeah, and so I had to make that choice, and it was a hard choice. I had to talk to a lot of people. I had a lot of big Red Sox fans. Some celebrities are like, "Do it." They're like, "Youk, you gave it your all here, man."
Was that Adam Sandler was in your ear saying you got to do it?
Sandler, yeah. All the
Rob Schneider, all your boys.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, good. Our kids can like have a bar mitzvah. You will come to it. It'll be awesome." Hey, maybe he'll come and lift the chair up at the wedding with us. Have a nagila with us.
Wait, hold on. You boys with those guys? I'm sorry. Is this a joke?
Oh yeah, dude, you got. We might as well talk about it. You are good buddies with Adam Sandler, Rob Schneider, kind of that group. You think like, hey, and like Kevin Youkilis somehow is in that group of dudes.
Well, Sandler, it's like a text thing, or if I see him. Not like we're going and hanging out. Our family's going to the Ritz-Carltons down in wherever together. But
Sarasota.
Yeah, I got and we communicate every once in a while. But I remember that time; it was just wild. Like, they're all pumped, and that whole crew of Sandler's boys are all Red Sox fans, right? So all those guys in the movies, and the Peter Dantes and all these guys are in the movies are all Red Sox fans, and a couple are Yankee fans. So one night we're out in New York, and all of a sudden they're filming forget what movie. And all of a sudden I hear Youk, and I'm like, what the hell? It's like all these SUVs, like two SUVs. I'm like, what the Youk? And I walk up, and they're like, hey, it was like Kevin James, Sandler, and all these guys that in the movie. And they're like, hey man, and this is when I was at the Red Sox, and that's where it all started. But yeah, it was just a weird, funny interaction. Like in New York City, you can run into anyone, right? But yeah, it was interesting. I mean, when I went over to New York, it was definitely the funniest one though was the first day I showed up for spring training. And of course, they asked me a million questions, and they take out this one snippet.
Oh boy, here we go.
And I said, I can't change my past. I'll always be a Red Sox player for the rest of my life. I can't change that. Well, they take, I'll always be a Red Sox player for life. and they like freaking.
Oh boy!
It was like, here we go, like this. Meanwhile, the best thing is in the training room at spring training, it says like, once a Yankee, always a Yankee. So I'm literally like, if I was on, like, if like today's world of like social media, I'd have been like, like, see, I thought that was the same, and but that was the hard one, and finally got over it. But yeah, unfortunately, my back just blew out. You know, I had an epidural in my back at one point, had to sit out, and then I think it was like 2 weeks later, we're in Oakland, and I got left in the game for 17 innings, and the next morning, go to the airport, my foot's numb.
Wow.
It was the end of my Major League Baseball career.
That was it. No, you ended up going to Japan, right? Yeah, dude, so I couldn't gloss over this. These last 2 years I couldn't gloss over. What was that like? Like, and it was I remember going to Japan in 2008, the batting practice, they had two dudes throwing. They had like a righty and a lefty. It was the most balls I've ever seen. Real pitchers.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, dude. What was that like in Japan? And what was the batting practice like in Japan?
Yeah, going to Japan was pretty cool. My wife was the one that really pushed it. I think my agent like kind of said, hey, like, you know, this offer's here. And I always told my wife that, like, she was like, let's do it. And I was like, what? She's like, let's go. And I'm like, are you crazy? And she's like, I love it. Oh, this will be the greatest, like, and she's like, listen, you've won World Series, you've done you've done everything. Like,
she's right.
And I was like, and I thought about it, and I was like, and then your ego gets in the way sometimes. You're like, but I'm a Major League Baseball player. And I was like,
right.
Then I started thinking more, and I'm like, you know what? She is right. Life's all about just all these experiences, you know? And so I said, all right, let's try it. So we go over there. I went first. I had to go to spring training. Wild. You go to this little island, like little island. I get there. I'm so jet lagged. Time is like, you wake up and like, you're like, oh God, it's 3:00 in the morning. Wide awake. Can't get food or anything. You're like, oh God, like you go to practice that day. They're like, hey, you're gonna be jet lagged. Just, you know, we'll take it easy. Then like, all right, you ready? It's like 2 days later. You're like, hey, you ready? Oh God, here we go.
Do you have an interpreter? They give you an interpreter, obviously.
Interpreter, yeah. So we had there was two interpreters. They're both brothers. Andrew Jones was on my team, so he was the
perfect.
He was the year before, so it was easier. It was great hanging with Andrew, and he made it a lot easier. But yeah, we went over there, and I'll never forget my. So we had our two kids, and then my wife was pregnant with our third, and that was an experience for her in Japan. That's a whole other. You can go on a podcast with her about that one. About the experience.
I'm gonna call Julie and see if she'll be the next guest.
Yeah, just to play Papa Shot with you.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna get there in a second.
And then so it was so cool playing in Japan because it was such a unique experience of watching the guys how they warm up and do things. So what they do is they have two pitchers in your group, a lefty and a righty. So you go back, they're like, whatever you want. Like fastball, curveball, slider, whatever you want. Like they'll throw anything. They'll throw you a pitch.
Like good ones too. They'll throw you some good curve.
Like here, whack. And you're like, oh, this is great.
Wow.
You know, so good, right? And so that's what it was just wild. But it worked. I mean, at first you got to get used to it because you got to get ready because it's a little harder than just our regular BP. So you got to get the bat out there a little bit. And I didn't like it at first, but then after a while, you start getting used to it. But there was no like cages for flips and stuff like that. You had to do like toss again, like flips into a net on the field. So it was just a different experience altogether. And the key to it was just adapting. What happened was I had New Balance cleats, and that year they moved the factory. I didn't get my New Balance cleats. So they only had Nike cleats. Well, Nike cleats and me do not work.
They're so narrow, right?
Fasciitis.
Yeah.
I switched off Nike cleats, never had it again. Plantar fasciitis came back full throttle in Japan. And that's what I try to play through it as long as possible. But after they tried everything. They thought it was my back because I had the back surgery before. And I kept trying to tell them. And I was like, it's not my back. It's not my back. They're like, no, your back goes into your feet. And it's just a Japanese way.
Yeah.
And finally, I got to a point I was like, guys, listen, my foot's so messed up. Like, you don't understand. I got to go back home. I was like, just sever my contract, just keep the money, go get somebody. And so that's what I did. Yeah. And I just told him like, hey,
that's cool.
Yeah. So I cut my contract off for the team and just said, hey, you guys need to go get somebody to compete. And so I could have stayed. I could have been there. I paid the money, but I just said, hey, I think, guys, I'm done. I can't play like this.
When you look back, you played 11 years, 12 years in the big leagues. Do you have any regrets that you could have played longer, or do you look back at all and think anything of your career?
Yeah, I people ask me that all the time. They're like, if you wouldn't have played so hard, or you wouldn't have gotten so, like everyone's like, if you wouldn't have got so upset all the time, you had a longer career. And I was like, I said, that doesn't make any sense. I said, I had to get every ounce of inch of, mental to getting out there and just doing the little things. Like, I couldn't take plays off like other guys. I didn't have that ability. Like, if I wasn't on time and I couldn't, move my foot, like if I didn't get my feet in the ground, like I wouldn't have got to that ball. And so for me, I played hard because that's the only way I knew how to play. And I have no regrets on that. I mean, I think that some of the regrets you have are just things like interactions you have or things you didn't say or do or write. But I think everyone goes through those. I mean, I think you're young, you're dumb. But no, I think the only thing that people ask me was like, would you had more fun? And I said, I did have fun. I was like, it just didn't look like it. It just, I was so intense because I felt like I had to get every ounce out of me. Yeah.
Well, you did, bro. You did. And you did it right. Like I said, you wouldn't have been the player you were without that passion and the way and how hard you played the game. There's no doubt about it. I want to go back to Julie, because your wife, Julie, what an awesome person. And I've gotten a chance to know her a little bit too. And I was saying, for anyone that doesn't know, I have to say it, she's Tom Brady's sister, right? And I think she might be the better athlete.
Tom Brady, Julie Brady's brother.
That's right. Let's just say that. Tom Brady is Julie Brady's brother. Exactly. You're exactly right, because Julie's kind of a stud in herself. Like, I didn't know she was as good of an athlete as she was. And I'm sure she slapped around Tom and the family when they were growing up. Like, hey, Tom, get a hold of yourself. You're a little chunky right now. And, you got to figure it out. Get your act together. You know what I mean? So, when I look back at, we were at a Pearl Jam concert. I think it was 2018, something like that. 2017, 18. We were there and, with Theo, we were all, we're at backstage after the show. But in the clubhouse there, in the Cubs clubhouse, they got that Papa shot. And I'm like, and I was kind of talking trash to Julie. I'm like, let's go, Julie. Let's get it on. I'm going to dominate you. And she's like, all right, let's get it on. Next thing you know, I'm like, she's just draining things like freaking LeBron. She's like Steph Curry with Papa shot. She's just ripping them. And I'm like, oh my God. Not only am I losing to Julie, I'm losing by like 60 baskets. You know what I mean? It's like, it was almost embarrassing, right? So I'm like, so when I look back, I'm like, so dude, what's it like obviously, with Julie, she's competitive. You're obviously brother-in-laws with Tom. That whole family, the Brady family, seems competitive. Like, what's it like at Thanksgiving, for you guys, with Kevin Youkilis in that house?
Yeah, well, Kevin Youkilis isn't talked about ever.
Dude, you're like an icon. It's so funny. You're an icon baseball player in Boston, and you're a side note in the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the best was at my niece's graduation. In Thousand Oaks, it was Wayne Gretzky's son graduated.
Jesus.
And so it's Gretzky. Gretzky's 2 seats in front of me. Tommy's in front of me. And then it's me. And I'm thinking everyone is super, the ceremony's over. People start coming over. No one even knows who the hell I am. Who cares? And I'm laughing. I'm like, this is good. This is really good. I don't have to do anything. I can sit back in the cut. I don't have to no awkward interaction.
Oh my God, it's so good.
And I was like, man, this is when you know all your hard work has gone to crap.
Dude, you married into the wrong family.
Yeah,
you married into the wrong family.
Nobody really quick. And I was totally fine with it.
I know that's so you. You're always kind of want us to be in the background. Just go ahead and marry the sister of the greatest football player of all time. That's good. That'll make you feel like nobody at Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'll tell you what. Yeah, I feel really good about myself, you know. But it's funny. Yeah, it's a fun family. I mean, you know, family's family, and there's always things, right? Like it's no matter what family you're in, there's always something up, right? You know, we got so many kids running around. Something always occurs. Somebody's sick and passing it on or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's a very competitive family. I mean, there's a video out there of same niece that fired a rocket, and all of a sudden, like Tommy sent it out. I'm like, Tommy, what are you doing? I'm like, look good. Like we're just dodgeball, just like crushing. I'm just like nailing. Kids are getting hit in the face.
Oh my God.
Like, it's so good. I mean, hey, we teach them early.
Did you guys have a retirement party for him? Or did you know he was coming back? You don't have to answer this.
Oh, no. Yeah. We didn't have anything. We didn't know. I didn't know he was coming back until I got a text message about 30 minutes later. It's on the news. Like, oh, God. Okay. Everyone knows. Great. Here we go. But we literally, like, the funniest part is we teach the kids real early in life. Hey, the world ain't going to be easy on you. It's going to be hard. And guess what? You ain't winning here until you get better. So the adults are going to kick your ass every single time unless you get better.
It's so great, dude. It's so great. Didn't one time, I mean, obviously you're pretty fleet of foot. You're not the fastest dude, but you could run decent. But didn't you and Tom line up one time and like you know, and just say, all right, we just got done with the turkey and the stuffing, and let's get it on a nice race outside. Didn't something like that happen?
Yeah. So when 4th of July is when we all usually like hang out, because that's like the perfect timing, right? Because Thanksgiving's tough because Tom's always playing. He's always doing his thing. So, and that you know Thanksgiving and Christmas, like it's football season, so we don't really get together for those. But the July we always are together. July 4th is my mother-in-law's birthday too, so it's pretty cool celebration of Independence Day and her. And we're at this property, and it's like it's a nice beautiful grass, and I'm actually throwing to my Tom's son. I'm like playing wiffle ball, throwing with them. And they all start like talking smack about running. Well, this is like right after I had my plantar fasciitis and stuff too. And I'm watching this and I'm like, no, these guys are slow. They're not fast. I was like, I think I got a chance. I'm like, good athletes, but they're not fleet of foot. I was like, I got this. So I'm like, all right, my competitive juices get up.
Oh my God, dude, it's so great.
And now I'm like, oh God, don't blow out. Don't blow out. Don't blow out. So a quick little stretch, do a couple little hamstring stretch. Boom. I take off, put up the number 1 through the finish line.
Did you just win?
No, that one I got. A couple years later though, I'm like getting real close. Like I've been running too much, so I'm falling behind. But I gotta start doing my sprints I got a couple months. Months till we run again. So
you're good, dude. You should get ready for that every year and be like, all right, Tom, I know you're still playing, but let's race. See what we can do.
Well, the fun part is Tom loves. He'll throw me that like so. Before I got my back surgery, when I was at the Yankees, I was in LA, and he had his house there in LA. Well, he's like, I'm going to go hit some golf balls at the course or at whatever. So he's like, we go, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm getting surgery, so I'm like, whack, like it hurts, but like I'm like, can't do any more damage to my back, right?
Right.
Hitting golf balls, whoosh, you know, like go back to the house, and Tommy's like, hey, he's like, do you mind catching some balls? I'm like, yeah, I got this.
That should be easy.
Yeah. And so he's just like, it's like, and I'm like, and those gloves are unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're so sticky. Like, and I'm like, and he's just like, and then like he throws one, like, and I like try to jump up, like tip. The only one I missed was like one a little high because I like try to get up my back, like tips. I'm like, oh damn, missed one. But I only missed one ball the whole time, just rocking. And he looks at me, he's like, damn. He's like, you got good hands. He's like, you got really good hands. And I'm thinking to myself, who the hell are you? Like, what do the other guys have? The pros. I was like, if I got good, I was like, are you complimenting? He's like, no, seriously. He's like, Gronk might have the best hands. He's like, you might be second. I'm like I don't know if that's going to do you any good because I ain't getting open.
I can't get open, but you could throw it to me. It'd be a 1 yard loss.
Yeah.
Throw it to me.
And then it came back around when he was suspended for that bullshit suspension.
Yeah, such bullshit.
Which was later debunked. Which is great. But so we're at the high school here, and he's throwing balls to me and like telling me like go to here and just boom, catching them. And that was the fun part for me because I love football. Football is like, being an Ohio kid, but just catching passes like, from an NFL, great NFL quarterback. But just that was like being a kid again, and it was so much fun. And it's so fun to hear that he's like, man, you got good hands. I'm like, I miss my calling.
You know why he said that? Because he always needs a partner. He's like, Youk will come. If I pump him up, tell him he has good hands, he'll go run some patterns for me. You know what I mean?
I said, dummy, only one of these is gold, but the other one I don't know about.
Yeah, you're like 2007 Gold Glove. Of course I got freaking great hands. What are you, nuts? Oh my God, it's so
All
great,
those
dude.
Baseball players were great athletes.
Yeah, I love it, dude. So and now, Yuki, can you tell us a little bit about you in the Loma Brewing Company you got, man? You've had it for years. How's that going? Are you enjoying that? Has it been a nice thing after you were done playing?
Yeah, one thing in life was I couldn't sit still. I'm not a golfer. Like I play golf, but it's not like my super passion. And when you retire, you got to have new goals and dreams in life. You got to challenge yourself because that's all we did. We're just super competitive people that and then it's done. It's over with. So I wanted to get into business. I wanted to do something cool, and I love craft beer. And so I opened up Loma Brewing Company in August of 2016. I was in planning for a couple years. I talked about it, all the time, and my teammates were always probably like, God, this guy, shut up about it. Right? Like, we're tired of you, dude, and then finally when I did, they're probably like, oh God, he did it. Unbelievable.
Right.
But, what I love about it is the challenges. I love learning. I love growing. I love understanding that you're going to be uncomfortable when you get out of baseball. And there's also two things. Your ego is too big. You think you know way too much. And that is one big issue of celebrities, athletes. You think you know way more than you do. Just because you're successful at a sport, acting, music, whatever it is, doesn't always carry over into anything you do in life. And I learned that real quick was, hey, you really got to start paying attention to people. You got to listen to people. You got to decipher what is good advice, what's bad advice. You got to sift through it all. And over the past 5 years, it's been a really, really good learning curve for myself. I surrounded myself with good people, got a good business advisor, and I've really just worked on just trying to grow this brand. COVID hits, knocks us down to square one again. I mean, we go right back to square one. It was just and we're in one of the worst counties in Santa Clara County. Shout out to Dr. Cody. Hope you never get a job ever again. Yeah, I can. You guys are still wearing masks outside, right? It's all crazy. They're still wearing them, but yeah, luckily, and now the mandate was lifted a couple weeks back, and now it's like we've seen a really good uptick. And actually, there's a lot of good things that happened because of COVID. We got our business moving in the right direction, making sure and for COVID, that's what it did to a lot of business owners. Is hey, you're going to have to run it like this. You're going to have to do this better. And I think that's the one cool thing we're doing. Is we're making it better. We're seeing an uptick in sales. Hopefully every week we keep seeing an uptick. And then we got a new project that's going in Manteca, California, where we're expanding. We're growing. We're going to have a bigger facility that can make more beer. We're looking into making spirits too, which I'm really, really excited for. Don't know how that's going to work yet. There's a lot of different legal stuff we have to go through. But I'm excited for that because I want to because it's hard to ship beer to the East Coast. I want to get this stuff to the Boston fans, to my Cincinnati, fans and friends. But it's hard. Spirits are easier because they last longer. The shelf life doesn't go down. Beer's tough. Once hoppy beer, especially anything that's an IPA or anything with a lot of hops, the freshness goes away. So this is an avenue that we think that we can go into the Boston market, go into the Cincinnati market, and get to those people that have been huge supporters of myself and my career. But I'm pretty pumped. I'm really excited about this next venture that we're getting into. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be a lot of work, but yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, as long as that connection still lasts there, and me being a part of the NESN broadcast, and and still being connected to Red Sox Nation. Hopefully I can provide a cool product that people enjoy and they love too, while they're watching a baseball game, sipping back on a Loma, whatever it is.
That's awesome, man. Well, it's really cool to see that you're being as successful as you were as a player with your beer. Your beer is great. Where can people find if they want to order online?
Well, that's the hard part right now is lomabrew.com is our website. There are ways to buy it. The shipping part gets tough. There's a lot of TV, the ABC laws and
right.
But yeah, just go to lomabrew.com and follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. I don't think we have Twitter as much, but if you just follow us, there's always updates. We're always adapting. We're always growing. I think that's the one cool thing of life, baseball. The same similarity applies in baseball. If you're not trying to get better year in and year out, you're never going to keep obtaining that goal that you had, the stats that you had. I always tell people, you don't hit 300 every year if you're not trying to get better. You can't just rely on staying the same. You got to get better. And that's what we're trying to do too. We're trying to adapt. We're trying to grow. We're trying to figure out different avenues to get our product in the hands of people. The unfortunate part is with alcohol, it just gets hard with shipping and the laws. But if you're ever out in the California, the Northern California area in the San Jose, we're in the town of Los Gatos, beautiful little town that, just come on, swing by. I'm there Monday through Friday a lot of times. And stop on in, get some good food. We just got a smoker. And we got.
I'll be there. Me and Chinch are on our way. We'll be there soon.
Absolutely.
We got ribs tonight. Friday night's ribs. Briskets on Saturday. We just started this up, so we're really, really pumped about it. We're just making a set amount on Friday and Saturday. When it runs out, it runs out.
Wow, that's awesome, man. I love how you're still grinding too. You're back there pouring the beers, saying hi to people and all that stuff. I love that stuff, dude. The last two things we do, bro. Who owns you, and who did you own?
Ooh. Well, my wife owns me.
I know she does. I didn't want to say Julie owns you, but I might as well say it,
You can check that box off for most people, by the way. I'll raise my hand to that one, too.
Yeah, Chinch's wife owns him, Jess. He's like, I got to check with Jess and make sure what time dinner is, what I'm doing. I don't know when I'm brushing my teeth. He doesn't know when he's brushing his teeth.
Absolutely.
It's so true. Jason, James Shields and Jason Frazier, those two. Jason Frazier owned me. I don't even know what my stats are against him, but
Jason Frazier,
I swear, like people are like, who was the guy? I was like, somehow
from Toronto, right? Toronto?
Yeah. I mean, you guys will probably pull up the stats right here now and show that stink. I don't even know if I got a hit against him. Shields was another guy. Like I would hit the ball hard. Longoria was right there, and then I'd strike out. Like it was like if I didn't hit the ball hard, it was a weak hit or it was right at Longoria every single time. A guy I owned. Wow. I think it was.
Don't be shy, Youk. Tell us.
Wow.
I know dude. You're not just, let me think about this. I'll tell you right now, I owned AJ Burnett and I owned Jose Lima. You got to have somebody you own.
Lima time.
Oh, dude, Lima used to just poop it up there for me. I'd be like, bam, there's a rock in the cap.
Mark Hendrickson domination, 400 with 3 dingers, 10 ribbies.
JC Romero.
Ricky Romero,
not JC. JC I played with.
10 hits, 4 of them were dingers. 3.
There you go.
Jeez. I mean, you played a lot of people. You're like basically a 300 hitter who hit like 25 bombs a year.
I actually hit Roy Halladay pretty good.
Did you really? Wow.
I actually had good at bats against him. Well, good. I hit him good compared to
everyone else.
And Mariano, I hit 300 against.
Wow. Those are 2 big ones.
Yeah, no, those were the guys like I'm trying to think of. But lefties, man. Lefties were, I love lefties. Yeah. Love me a good old 90 with a little poop change up.
Like Mark Hendrickson.
Mark Hendrickson coming with that 6'10". Come on, hit me.
Iron Mike. There you go.
Man.
Oh, my God.
Ricky, I would say JC. JC was a little tougher, but.
Vicente Padilla, 438.
Ooh.
Padilla was nasty, too. He was nasty.
You'll mesh. Probably you knocked him out of league because you only faced him 14 times, but you got 7 hits.
You'll mesh with the bubble butt. He had that bubble pop.
Lackey, not bad. 294, but not too much pop.
Yeah.
Everybody's at least, everything's like 3, 4.
Well, Youk was a great hitter. He's being modest. He can't remember anybody. Chinch just rattled off 45 people he owned. You can't remember one of them.
I'm bad, man. I was bad at that, man. Like I think that was the mindset too, Case. It's like if you're never satisfied or whatever,
right?
You remove yourself from you remember your success against them, like in the sense of like, yeah, if he's throwing me that pitch out there, because now, but. Yeah, I like Petey was the best at it. He knew I was joking around like Petey, like you put him in the business world. Yeah, not so much.
He's in trouble.
Savant world, like baseball savant, the dude is unreal. Like you remember the bat, the pitch. I'm like, holy cow, Petey, how do you do that?
So great. That's so great. All right, the last thing we do, Youk, is called 9 and 90. Chinch is going to ask us 9 questions. I'll start, and then you give your answer.
Let's do it.
Hall of Fame baseball broadcaster Marty Brennaman here. It's time for 9 in 90, the most ridiculous segment in all of sports.
All right.
Okay, go, Chinch.
I'm grinding right now, too. I lost 8 pounds the last 2 days. I was stomach.
Yeah, Chinch has been peeing out of his butt for the last 2 days. What? Did I say that? Did I say that on air? Is that legal?
Fine.
It's a fact.
All right. Speaking, I'm looking at this first question I'm going to ask you, and I might have to run to the can while I ask this. New England clam chowder or a New England lobster roll? Which do you pick, Case?
Oh, I know where Youk's going. I'm going lobster roll, dude.
With butter. Yeah. No mayo, the butter.
Going all out with the butter. Just here we go.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. After Tom Brady, name the next best QB in the NFL right now.
Joe Burrow.
You believe that? It's because he's a huge Bengal fan. That's right. He's like, Youk's always texting me, who day? Dude, Aaron Rodgers better than Joe Burrow, bro.
Knocked out of the first round. See ya.
Because Cincinnati had a better team, dude.
He just cost his whole team. He lost his wide receiver because he wanted more money. Tommy, look what Tommy signed for. Signed for less, get better players.
Yeah, but Tom's wife's making more than him. That's why he didn't mind. He's like, hey, Giselle's making tons of money. It's no big deal. Give me $5 million and we'll get as many receivers as possible.
You know this, man. You can't win in the football league if you're the highest paid player.
You're right. No, you're right. Good point. And I love Joe Burrow too. I love it.
Salary caps.
I love the fact that Cincinnati was in the Super Bowl. Let's get it.
Pretty good wide receiver there too. You got. All right. Would you rather be a famous chef or a famous writer, Sean?
Oh, I'd rather be a famous chef. Kidding me? If I could grill it up real nice, boom, bring it to Loma Brew, dominate.
Yeah, I'm in. Famous chef, man. Cook for people, get people together. That's writing.
Yeah. I'm in. All right. Okay. Boxing or MMA, Sean?
You know what? I'm probably an MMA guy.
Yeah. What do you say, Youk?
I'm MMA. I did some jiu-jitsu over the years, and man, that was a lot of fun. And so I love MMA.
Yeah, you quietly will kick your ass. Like you think, oh, he's a nice guy. Then he just pulls out these moves. You're like, he's got me.
That's funny. All right. Better old school video game, Sean? Pac-Man or Space Invaders?
Oh, Pac-Man's the best, I think.
What do you got?
I like Space Invaders. That's the shoot, like right? You're a shooting game.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old school like Atari. Yeah.
All right. Eye black or sunglasses?
I was an eye black flip down guy. Eye black flip glasses.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was flip shades. I couldn't wear eye black because I'm a sweaty pig, and it was go everywhere.
It feels like it's on your skin for the next.
I literally, it would be the first inning. I'd be like, oh man.
All right.
Now, in college baseball, now I watch my son's teams. You don't even play, and they have eye black like this. I'm like, what are we doing?
Randall.
Don't you have to earn the right to wear eye black? And
don't you have to see the sun?
Yeah. Don't you have to see the sun and actually play? Or no? I guess not anymore.
You can't be under a tent.
All right, this is coincidental because we were talking about meats. Filet mignon, ribeye, or porterhouse. Sean, pick one and only one.
You know what? I'm gonna have to go with a good ribeye, brother. If you cook that ribeye right with a little butter at the end on a cast iron skillet, watch out.
God damn. That's a hard one to follow.
It is.
Good Lord.
I'll take a petite filet.
Youk wants the 8-ounce petite. Real nice.
I got to take the filet mignon because my family's got a little bit of a heart issue.
All right,
That's a baker's dozen, Bob. That's a baker's dozen, Bob.
all right, 2 more here. What would you rather have as a pet? A monkey or a pony?
Well, I'd be scared the monkey would eventually turn on me and like rip my arm off one night. Like I'm like, hey, you're a nice monkey. Then bam, there goes my arm. Like, holy shit. So I think the pony. I'd take the pony.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going with the monkey.
Yes.
I mean, the story's going to be way better with the monkey. I mean, there's never going to be a week where some shit doesn't go right. You might throw the feces at you. Way better stories.
Last one. This is a huge coincidence because you guys started talking about races. Who wins in a race right now, this second, between Sean Casey and Kevin Youkilis?
You know what? The other day I was walking my dog and I decided to I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a little rip right here, a little 30-yard sprint. I almost went down, like I almost double hamstring pull. And I swear to God, I felt my calf going. I'm like, this is unbelievable. I can't even run 30 freaking yards with a 3-legged dog. I almost went down. So I'm going to have to say Youk would dominate. If he's dominating his brother-in-law, Tom, he's be dominating me right now.
I'm actually embarrassed it's a question.
That's
He did. Hey, there was one race he beat me in. That's when the fight happened with Coco.
Oh.
I don't know what happened to him. Dude,
It's right there on the wall.
I have no idea what happened to this guy. He ran so fast. I literally was like, what the hell? How is this guy running? He's right in stride with me. This is flying.
I went out like William Wallace. I turned around and freaking, I have the picture right there, and Youk is right behind me. I'm like, Youk, but he's right behind me. Pedroia's 85 feet behind us. I'm like, what the? I'm like, I think Pedroia was on deck. I guess he must have missed the memo. There was a fight breaking out. Freaking guys sitting. Him and Tito comes out with a blood clot and like can't move. He's like, ah. Pedroia's next to him. Me and Youk are on the mound, just like, let's get it on. We're two Vikings. We're two Vikings.
I had Garza pinned down. I had Garza pinned down. He's flipping out. I'm like, calm down. Get off me. I'm like, you're not doing anything. Stop.
I threw a punch at James Shields. It was like the wimpiest punch ever. I kind of like threw it, dropped an elbow. I was like, I think I hurt myself. 3-game suspension. I'm like, what the hell? I got suspended. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, but the camera
Ran
shot,
too fast.
the still of Casey in that looks like he's like a fucking superhero. Like when you just take the one quick grab of it.
Dude, that was the quickest I've ever seen him. I was like, man, he just got cured with polio right there. He just took the whole.
Oh my God, you're not going to believe this. Coco Crisp was so thankful that I ran out there and threw a punch. He got me a present, and you're not going to believe what it was. 3 weeks later, a John Cena fathead shows up in my locker. He's like, hey, Case, thanks for backing me up. I'm like, couldn't you get me a Rolex or something? What's up with the John Cena fathead?
Oh, wait, I didn't get anything. I didn't get anything.
That's because you didn't get suspended. I did, okay?
Damn it.
Man. That's
I should have punched Garza. I should have punched Garza.
If you'd have punched Garza, you'd have got a freaking Undertaker. You'd have got the Undertaker fathead.
Joke.
Oh, hey, Yuki, you are the best, bro. I can't thank you enough for coming on, dude. This has been so much fun, man. And Chinch and I, like I said, we're going to come out to get that brisket and with a couple of those IPAs out at Loma Brew and just to see you and tell Julie I said hi. I'm working on my Papa shot every day. When I see her next time, tell Julie domination. Sean Casey's coming and hell's coming with him. Okay, let her know.
Oh, she's ready. She's ready. This is fun. Let's do this next week, man. I always love that.
You're on, brother. You're on, man. Yuki, I love you, man. I'll call you soon, buddy.
Love you, man.
Thank you, brother. Bro, just one of my favorite friends, one of my best buddies, but just such a great guy. It was just such a great conversation, man. And just love his story, love everything about that guy. And I love that what he's doing after baseball. And like you said, it comes across in that interview.
Yeah, and a couple things. One, you look at his stats, like you always say, you forget how great he was. A great baseball player, not just
dude. Baseball player. He was a killer, bro. He was a killer up there, dude.
Right. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Just one of the best pure hitters I ever played with.
Right. And the second thing, which I learned a lot about today, is like he's a Renaissance man. Like most of us knew that Tom Brady's his brother-in-law, but he's boys with like Sandler, his company. I mean, it's awesome. Which is awesome. Awesome.
He's the best, man. He's the best. So that was awesome. And I tell you what, he does, talked about Joe Burrow there. He loves Cincinnati. He's very thankful he's from there. And, a lot of props to them too. So that's pretty cool. But Chinchy, thanks for grinding through this one, dude. I know you were kind of struggling and, appreciate it, bro. That's what we do. So I love you, buddy. And for all the people out there listening, thanks so much. Keep subscribing, download it, and share us with your friends. Share us with your networks. Please, we're growing it. We're growing it, and we appreciate the numbers. And stay grateful. Chinchy, I love you, buddy. Thanks for grinding through this one.
Got it, bro.